Well, what I can say on that is that yes, the funding has been cut. Now, I believe her name is Angela Derricks or something like that. That's over that.
Andrea,
Now, I
yes.
don't know if her kids are in the city of Flint schools, but I see she's making a lot of cuts in different areas that I'm wondering, is it affecting her any in life, or is it just affecting the citizens of Flint and the youth in the city of Flint? So that's a question if she chooses to answer one day. But the point is that yes, there have been a lot of funds cut from those different areas, and they're saying they're trying to save money. They don't want to go in a deficit. So what it seems like to me is that everybody's worried about their face and saving their face instead of the kids' academics education. My whole point is you can close down all these schools and you can be $1.3 million in the good or $3.1 million in the good. I forget what the statistics would be after this year, but are the kids learning anything? That's the whole point. I think that we ought to get a Flint school city tax. And if you live in the city of Flint, you ought to be able to put into that tax, and that tax goes to the schools. Of course, under certain guidelines, okay? You're not just going to throw it in there and say, hey, do what you want to do with it. I think it should be put into the sports system. I think it should be put into academic. I think it should also be put into people that would mentor the school systems, and the parents that don't mind coming in and helping them. I think they should be giving us certain stipend. And it's just a lot of things that I think that if we think outside the box, it could be done. Like I feel like a Flint City school tax, it should have been there. I'm sorry. All of these degrees we have on the school board, and no one could think of that. And of course, we might have to go through city council, but I don't see them as saying no. I think they would put it on there and let the citizens in the city decide if it should be on ballot.
Well, at this point, implementing any tax, because of course we already know, in a separate political form, that the mayor has talked about a 6.9 mil increase on property taxes. How would you get the residents of Flint to embrace another tax increase of any kind?
Well, the mayor has a 6.9 mil on property tax. I'm putting how many ever. I couldn't give you no figure right now, but it would be whatever it takes to keep the schools running, so we wouldn't have to close them down. But it's on your children's tax. It's on your grandchildren's tax. It's on your nieces and nephews. You know what I'm saying? If this tells what you care about your kids, and if that's what you feel about them, you don't want to give them a 1 or 2% tax or whatever we ask. Then hey, how can you expect things to get better? You can't. You can't. And there's another thing. It should have been a youth millage. Should have been one already. You got senior millage. You got a millage for the hospitals. You got millage. Why not start taking care of our kids off these different millages? Our kids need recreation. Our kids need things to do to keep themselves out of trouble. Everybody blames it on the parents. True enough, it's the parents. Some of it, it's the parents. But guess what? You weren't perfect as you were raising your kids yourself. So the way you should do it is until God takes the blinders off of these parents' eyes, embrace them, love them. They didn't ask to be brought into this world. So what we got to do is come together as one and help these kids, because guess what? They're our kids, whether we like it or not, because they represent the city of Flint.
Now, what would you say to someone who said to you, it's not about increasing our taxes, it's about allocating funds properly? The school board has ran with a surplus prior to this. So what would you say to someone who said, no, we don't have to put this tax off on the residents. We need to have someone who actually knows how to make a budget?
Well, that's a good question, but I wouldn't say that they're appropriating the funds wrong. Allocating them, misappropriate. But I would truly say that they're doing the best that they can, in putting them in areas that they're trying to keep a certain amount of buildings open and trying to keep, trying to keep it level. So the funds will come in. But my point is that inflation has risen. Life goes up. I mean, this is just the way it is, and we must adjust to the times. all we're living off is what we can get right now, and we need to understand that it's going to take more. It's just like me in a house. I don't want to keep staying in that same house when if I put a little more effort into it, I can go higher, and my kids can go higher. So,
well, in light of the recommendations made by the chief financial officer of the school board, teacher layoffs, budget cuts, school closings, if you are elected, you're going to be sitting in a seat that's going to be highly scrutinized. At this point, why take office? Why not wait 4 years from now? Everything is said and done, and possibly it could be better. Why take on office at this point?
Because I feel like if I step in the spot at this time, this is still the climbing stage. Ms. Thompson just got in, and like I said, I would like to work with her and bring new ideas to what the ideas that she have. If I wait 4 years from now, she's already set in. These ideas that we could have brought in won't be there. I mean, they'll be there, but they'll be 4 years in the making. So my point is people scrutiny don't mean much to me. I mean, I'm me. I'm going to be me. I'm going to fight for what's right, and that's for our kids to prosper and be prosperous in the future. We're turning this city into a college town, okay? If our kids don't have the education and knowledge, how can they be there? How can they be in the running for any job around here? They can't. We got to think of us first and quit putting other people before our children like we're doing. Some of this money, I think if the city works with the school board, we could get good academics like the Whittier academic class right now. It was brought in by Mr. Milton. Even though he didn't work out and whatever happened, I don't think that program should be put in the basement. I think that program should be accelerated to the different schools in the city and the other kids. But right now, you got to have a certain grade point average or something like that and have an application to get in. Me, myself personally, okay, keep that school like that, but take some of those academics and pass them on to the other different schools, and I think it would help our youth to a certain degree.
Now, you spoke of Walter Milton a few times. Do you think that the problems that the school board they're facing currently has a lot to do with Walter Milton, a little to do with Walter Milton?
Well, I'm gonna say it like this: they were there before Walter Milton got here. Okay, I mean, it's just putting the rubber meets the road. They were here before he got here, but when he got here, he made a decision to start closing down a lot of schools, but he was bringing his academic program in at the same time. So I think to a certain extent, in one area it made it worse, in academics it made it better. So we gotta get our egos out the way and start realizing that in the academic part it was okay, so let's keep that. And in the other part of shutting schools down, budget cuts and all of this, that it was worse. So we gotta decipher from the two and take the good that Mr. Milton did leave and take it and prosper off of it. Not say because it's Mr. Milton's we gonna shove it in the basement, or I don't know how long it's gonna be in the basement. But my mentality, if I was a kid and I'm doing great in school, why would I want to be put in the basement of another building? That's I don't understand what no one's thinking on that one. I really don't.
Well, I went to Central and I learned a lot in the basement. I have another question from an administrator at a high school. Her question is that she's noticed that administrators are pulled from the schools a lot during the school year, and when